what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy. Let's start with JD5, like all things do at this point. And Mario, look, you see on here, I have what bites I'm going to want here. So let's just start with the Jayden Daniels INT, and then we'll get into more of what he had to say about consistency in the Heisman and whatnot. Because here was Brian Kelly talking about that interception from Jayden on Saturday.
You know, he threw an interception, so he is human. You know, he was expecting another route to be run in that situation, and it didn't happen. We had somebody walking on the play. So, again, you know, Jayden Daniels has been amazing in terms of what he's doing. I think everybody knows that leads the nation in total offense, passing efficiency. You know, I think the offense in itself and what they're doing, 6 consecutive games of over 500 yards.
Yeah, that. So how about that? I like the joke about Jayden being human, but how about that? The interception wasn't even Jayden's fault. Who in the hell was walking? We may have to go. Review the film and figure it out.
Was it not Malik on the throw? But maybe he wasn't talking. Maybe he was saying
that wasn't supposed to be
it was a walking route
something.
and he had to go. I thought it was a good play by the DB, but now I got to go back and further investigate.
Yeah.
How about that though? 500 yards. These 6 straight games.
Yeah.
500 yards of total offense.
Well, and so that goes part and parcel with his next point. And this opens up a larger conversation because he's going to do something around these parts that is borderline sacrilegious. He's going to mention the 2019 team, which online right now my mentions are dumpster fire thanks to Aaron's take on snaps that Washington is like 2019 LSU. And I thought this was kind of just like fun. Like, yeah, man, like awesome quarterback, 3 incredible receivers, good running back.
Yeah,
like,
I'm catching some of the
defense.
same.
I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, dude. Apparently, I've learned firsthand you do not take the Joe Burrow's team name in vain. Right. Otherwise, you will incur the wrath that only religious zealotry can produce. So, be careful. Trigger warnings if that's you, because here is Brian Kelly talking about this offense as it relates to kind of that one and just how special this all is.
You know, it's fun to watch an offense like that. I hope for our fans, they're taking it in. I know 2019 is still, a trendsetter because it led to a national championship, and rightfully so. I mean, those were great players, but you should not take this for granted. This is pretty remarkable stuff. Really fun to see this offense play and the efficiency in terms of what it's doing, in terms of running the football, throwing the football, effectiveness, and then, getting better, certainly defensively.
We talk about like the passage of time and the passage of the season and how quick this is all going, and do not get so caught up in the end game that you lose sight of the journey and what you're witnessing every Saturday. Like, don't be so obsessed with LSU controls their own destiny in the West, or what will LSU against Alabama, that you don't tune in and watch Jayden and this offense work their magic again this week, or that you don't appreciate what this offensive line is doing and consistently dominating every opponent that they line up against, or the emergence of Logan Diggs, or this wide receiver group that finally, for the first time since 2019, is looking like one of the best in the country, even though we continue to crown them best in the country. Again, reflect, be grateful, enjoy it, lean into it, try to force yourself to be present, because, again, you just don't know when this is going to happen again. It's crazy that here we are only 4 years removed, Jake, from a Heisman season, and you're getting another Heisman season at quarterback.
And let's be honest, in Baton Rouge, there was a long period of time where the forward pass felt like it was real work.
Yeah.
And it was a real struggle to move forward with the offense. And you had to go from, Jamarcus and Flynn, and you kind of had a long period of time. Was there, good performances in there? Yeah, there was good performances here, good performances there, but consistently you didn't have great quarterback play. You just didn't. It's something that you search for. Certainly offensive play, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And you yearned for it. Like, you searched for it, and you just didn't get it. And like to have this close together, like that's what's really special.
I agree.
The fact that you had the greatest offense of all time, and now this one probably doesn't get to that one. I'm just talking about the stats. I'm not talking about the team success, individual stats. I mean, but it's going to be close, and it's going to be one that should be celebrated regardless of how this thing plays out, because this is special. Like, this doesn't happen very often to have a quarterback, and also the first quarterback that you had coming into a year that was first team All SEC, like in decades.
Yeah. So
Decades.
living up to the hype and then
That's
some.
part of it. Having the hype and then actually going out there, because a lot of people at Media Day, T-Bob, and I don't know if you agree, it was, yeah, they believed in Jayden Daniels. They did, but it was kind of like, there's not really a great quarterback to put first team.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't just media day. I think even among the LSU fan base. Remember how every time I talked to a national college football voice and I would explain that there were, like, rumblings or conversation of a quarterback controversy, people looking at me like it grew a third eye. But even here, locally there wasn't 100% belief, but now there is. I've been pleasantly surprised with I think just talking to people and everybody in the community around LSU that yes, people are able to objectively just be like, you know what, this guy's awesome and we're fully behind him. The craziest part about it is, Jake, that it all happened within 4 years of one another, and it's just two completely different staffs, players, everything, right? Like, you're seeing Heisman greatness once again, and it's a completely different everything than what you had back in 2019. That is so hard and so rare to do. Appreciate it. Here is Kelly talking about, this is 13. Here's Kelly talking about the Heisman, and he was asked a question basically about, like, do you feel like you need a campaign for your player for the Heisman and push? And here's what he had to say.
The Heisman has become such a promotional piece and the flavor of the week that what I try to tell our guys that I've had involved in the Heisman is, look, you're not going to have control over this other than being consistent at what you do. So every day your focus isn't about what they think about the Heisman, because they're going to have opinions that range from one side to the other. Your focus is consistency and performance. If your performance is consistent week in and week out, then it's going to take care of itself. Other than that, they're going to say, well, you're not playing well enough on defense, which has nothing to do with the Heisman. If that was the case, they should have, not given the Heisman to Caleb last year. They lost to Tulane, but they gave him the Heisman.
Yeah, you like that, boys? How about that, dude? So what I love about this answer is
okay,
he starts it giving an honest assessment of all the player needs to worry about. And he's obviously correct, right? If a player starts to worry about what do I need to put out content-wise to get me the Heisman and not worry about what do I need to do Saturday against Auburn, then against, during the bye week against Alabama, like, yeah, that's going to lead to failure for the player. But I do love the subtle maneuvering there at the end, where he does stump for his guy and basically say, I see a lot of you saying that he shouldn't win it because we lost some games because this crappy defense. Well, guess what? Caleb lost to Tulane. Okay, so let's be real. Give that man the Heisman. Very, very shrewd move there from Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I hate that Tulane got in the path there because we enjoy Tulane, but he was trying to make a point, and he certainly got that point across. And Caleb Williams lost 3 games, right? You lose 3 games that year. So I do agree with him. Like, I understand at that position that team success is always going to play into the Heisman Trophy. Very few times has it not. And we've pointed those out. RG3, Johnny Manziel, those years. It was almost like
even 3 lost Tebow.
Yeah, that's a great point. They were so good, but also there wasn't other challengers that had the numbers. That's what's the challenge this year. There's so many quarterbacks. Like, I made E.J. Manuel put his top 5 quarterbacks together, like right now in midseason, yesterday on the show, and like Caleb Williams wasn't in it, Drake May wasn't in it, Shadir Sanders wasn't in it. I mean, so many. He's like, where do I put them? Where do I put them? Right? And so, because he had Michael Penix 1, he had Jayden Daniels 2.
I think what separates Daniels right now is he has the volume, right? Like a Michael Penix. In fact, he's ahead. He's averaging more yards per game than anybody in the country, over 400 total yards a game. He's ahead of Michael Penix there. He's second in the country only to Caleb Williams in touchdowns accounted for. I think he's 2 behind there. And he's first in passer rating. And so two of those things are volume. And you say, oh, well, the defense is bad and they're giving Jayden, they're giving the offensive ball a lot. And so, like, yeah, of course, he's being set up for better numbers. Okay, but passer rating is efficiency based. Do you know who's second in the country in passer rating? J.J. McCarthy, the guy who hasn't even played fourth quarters. Answers on the defensive improvement. One of the things came in the beginning of the press conference, one came at the end, but I think they build off each other nicely. Kelly Tinn's going to be the first one here. And this was specifically, I believe, was asked about the third down improvement as, what were they? I think teams might be like 7 of 30 or something in the last couple of games. So pretty massive improvement considering the 60% rate that they felt like they were operating at before. Here is Brian Kelly. This is Kelly Tinn on how they're starting to get things fixed.
We're just playing more consistent defense, and it's not just one, it's 11 guys knowing their roles. And I've talked about this a couple of times, and I'll say it again. When the structure of the defense is in place and everybody knows their role within the defense, you start to get complementary defense. Guys knowing their roles allows 11 guys to play together. And we didn't do a great job of that early on. And part of that was, trying to find roles for guys, not knowing clearly what the best lineup was. And, now establishing what that looks like has allowed us to build that kind of consistency on defense.
I mean, they didn't change who they were, T-Bob. When you look at it, they had 21 cover threes, 32.8%. They had 28 quarters coverages, 43.8%. They ran cover 1 7 times, which turned out to be 11% there in the game. They actually ran cover 0 5 times, but they've actually run a lot of 0 throughout the year that maybe a lot of people didn't notice, but that's who they are. They're a quarters and cover 3 team. So they didn't really change up the scheme. I mean, they played who they are, but so that plays into what that answer is, guys just figure out what their responsibility is. They're doing a better job of their responsibility, figuring out who does what well. And so, it is encouraging to see that they didn't have to have wholesale changes. The defense was the defense, and they're playing better.
To me, I think there's a lot of layers to this. First, I think it's, this is exactly what we talked about when we talked about, the last couple of games on film when the quarterback's gotten outside the pocket and he's scrambled. There's even one play against Mizzou. I can't remember exactly who the defender was, but he takes a step towards the quarterback, and then you can almost you can see him like the same way in that old Quinnen Williams soundbite where he cuts himself off talking about calamari. You can see the defender like take a step and be like, wait, nope. And then, very funnily turn around, ignore the running quarterback, and get back on his coverage assignment.
Yeah.
And it happened again this last game, right? We celebrated it. And it may lead to a short game, but it didn't lead to the huge game. And the thing about this is, though, Jake, is that it's just about trusting your teammate. If you have contain, don't dive inside trying to make the play. Set the edge. Force it back inside to your teammate, to the safety, to the linebacker, to whoever is supposed to be filling that gap. If this is your man on the play, stay with him and let your teammates worry about the quarterback. Am I a little disappointed that you somehow aren't figuring this out preseason and these lessons are having to be so hard learned during the year because they are very fundamental? Yes, but at least they are being learned, and you're seeing pretty drastic improvement in that regard. But that's all this is. It's just trusting your teammate to do their job and you do your job and know what your job is. And this is something that Kelly's 21. This is something that Brian Kelly would expound upon.
Our players are clearly understanding now how important it is for them to do their singular job. And when they function in that regard and that single-minded focus of, if I just do my job, how this all works together. They're starting to see, when I do my job, the linebacker can get to where he needs to, and then the safety can fit the right way, and then the corner can push crack. So I just think that they're seeing how this all fits together. Not that they didn't want to do their job, but sometimes they want to do somebody else's job too.
I mean, it's crazy. Again, that's exactly what we were just talking about. And again, if you want to be negative about it, you can just wallow in frustration that this wasn't figured out sooner, but at least it was figured out. And it seems to be being figured out, and the guys that they have in there now are starting to buy into it more.
Yeah, look, it's in every phase of football, every level of football. I mean, same situation. There's times, and T-Bob, you've been in this situation in pass protection, where you see your buddies losing. you see your buddy doesn't quite have his guy, and you want to help him out. But you know what? I got my responsibility, right? So, like, you can't spend too much time trying to fix his mistake. Maybe you can give him a quick hand presence and then get out to just to try to get him back on his guy. But you have to know, I've also got to do my job because maybe the quarterback, like if we're in protection, maybe he sees that his guy is losing there, but he's counting on you to get your guy. So when he rolls out of the pocket, he knows you've got your guy, right? Because everybody's got a job to do. And we saw that. I'm trying to think what game it was more than any where LSU really struggled with that. Really trying to make a play that wasn't going
defensively,
to be yours.
I mean, I would say Ole Miss, without a doubt. Arkansas, maybe
Arkansas
even
more
worse
than
than
any,
Ole Miss.
probably.
Yeah, probably Arkansas was actually the worst because that's how KJ Jefferson was having so much success. Even this last game, I need these in sometimes to do a better job of keeping contained. There's a little too much diving inside, but still, it is getting better.
I thought Ovi had his best game to date.
And like we said, Parrish Shan. Last couple times, we haven't seen much Parrish this year, thus far.
Savion Jones, he plays so hard and tough, and you hate to try to take any of that away from him. But to your point, he does lose the edge at times because of it.
I know.
But I think I'm trying to inflict pain on the tackle.
That's
exactly
what Kelly's talking about, though, that you can't do that. You can't do that. You got to do your job. We don't need you to do more. Like, this defense is not going to be world beaters. Their best path to be their best self is to do your responsibility. And like to Jake's point, like everything is so interlocking, right? It's why you hear Brian Kelly talk about it was somebody walking on a route, on a different route that was supposed to be run that led to Jayden Daniels' interception, even though you never would have guessed that just from watching how that play played out originally. Swerve TV says that's the disappointing part. Tackling's probably going to cost us a playoff berth, and that's something that should have been worked in the preseason. It is what it is. You just have to enjoy the stride. Exactly. Okay, I like how you finish that. Yeah. But again, frame your mind. Don't wallow in self-pity and disappointment. Get excited that they're getting better and it's getting figured out, and then get excited for the fights to come, and then just let the chips fall where they may. We don't need to be so future-oriented. That's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for anger, quite frankly, and disappointment. And don't be past-oriented either. Like I said, we're going to focus on being present here, guys. Let's play one more answer. I don't have a ton to expound on here, Jake. I want to continue to give Mike Denbrock credit because I was so highly critical at the beginning of the season, and, well, frankly, he has been awesome. This is 8, Mario. This is Brian Kelly talking about what Mike Denbrock's doing to have so much success.
Well, he's central to it because it's, certainly coordinating it. Look, I'm a big believer that, you don't really get a buy-in unless you get everybody to weigh in. So, he's getting input from the entire offensive staff and then, putting it together. It's never a one-man show. It's a collaborative, I think, cohesive event when a coordinator's doing his job. If he's coming in early and scripting everything by himself and leaving everybody else to kind of wonder what's going on, usually have a group that has good days and bad days. This group is consistent, and it's because they all work together and everybody has a role. And credit to Mike's leadership and his ability to bring everybody in to the process. And then, his play calling. He matches play calls to players, gets the ball to playmakers, and that's what this is about. This is not about plays, this is about players. And I think he's hit both of those out of the park.
And that's kind of an interesting answer, Jake, because while I do think they're doing a really good job of starting to build up all of these concepts, and you're seeing the more interconnected whole picture, like we've talked about, the symphony of play calling, the idea that he would be more focused on players in the matchups, maybe that's, why some of this has felt a little like mix and match at times, because we're going to try to get this here and this here, and it's really been working to perfection as of like, get the ball to playmakers in space. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.